Welcome back into Rover Sports here. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast, which is on iTunes. I'm going to upload this to Periscope as well. You guys can go on Rover-Sports on Twitter and find me there. And we could do some commentary over on Twitter. But this is YouTube. This is my podcast. And really, when you look at the not the New York Giants, when you look at the LA Rams, it's interesting. When you do one thing, whether it's anything in your life, and you could, like, if you smoke one cigarette, okay, if you take one cigarette or you smoke some weed, or smoke a cigarette, and you smoke it one time, then you're more likely to smoke that cigarette again for the second and the third time. It's almost just like once you do something the first time, it can become habitual. So for the LA Rams, they've made the decision that they're going to take talent that is controversial talent, meaning that they're going to take guys that, were released by former teams based on actions. Marcus Peters is a guy that at Washington, didn't have the cleanest history. He got kicked out of his collegiate football program, and he went to Kansas City. He has a high upside like Asante Samuel of making interceptions and splash plays, and the Rams went out and they signed him. Then the Rams signed Aqib Talib, who is a guy that in the offseason a couple of times got in trouble in Dallas for nightclub incidents involving guns. And, Aqib Talib is a guy that had a fight with Michael Crabtree. He's a guy, again, that is not known as a guy that's very quiet. He's an outgoing type of guy. Now you have Ndamukong Suh that on the field is considered the dirtiest of the three guys that they have acquired. He's a guy that has stomped in Aaron Rodgers' face on Thanksgiving Day. He's a guy that after the whistle will take cheap shots, and for the Lions, he was a dirty player under Jim Schwartz. Now, has he cleaned that up a little bit? Yes. Is Ndamukong Suh an articulate speaker? Yes. He's a Nebraska kid, got a good education. He's a smart guy, but on the field, he kind of has issues putting that aside. He's a little bit like Grayson Allen in that I think that a lot of times the actions on the field don't represent who they are off of the field, meaning that I think that Suh can be a smart guy, but on the field he makes some idiotic and really boneheaded and dirty decisions that are bad for the game. But you look at LA, they've made this decision now to just get all these talented players that the former teams did not want to re-sign. And really, when you're a free agent for a reason. Either you're old, you want to get paid too much money, or you're talented, or you're not talented enough, or you're talented and you have some type of locker room issue, chemistry issue that isn't clicking that well. The Dolphins with Jay Ajayi and Ndamukong Suh and Jarvis Landry decided that their locker room wasn't in the right place, so they let Suh walk. The Dolphins decided that Suh wasn't worth the money. Now, he is getting paid a ton. Aqib Talib left Denver. I think that Denver loved Talib. Kansas City liked Marcus Peters, but Peters this year was really disruptive in a couple of his ball games. So when you look at the move, I just told you, when you do a risk one time, whether it's, again, smoking when you're not supposed to, if you're going to take a shot, usually if you take a shot of whiskey, you're going to then go and take more shots of whiskey. You're then going to go in and dig your heels in, and you're going to go down with the ship. Like, why just let Ndamukong Suh? If the Rams are going to, have this defensive culture of we're going to take less talented guys that have less trouble on and off the field, why would the Rams then sign Ndamukong Suh? But the Rams are going all in. They're like, we got Talib, we got Peters, we're going down this road. Who the heck cares? Let's just go all in. Let's make our defense really tough and stingy, and let's do this thing. So that's what the Rams are doing. They've taken risks. It's just throwing one on top of the other, just like you're stacking up Legos. You're not going to have the one outlier. The one outlier can be frustrating. you're not going to have a scapegoat, and I think it's even healthier for Sue that now he's not going to be under a microscope as much. For Sue, I think that this is perfect. You're not going to see double teams as much. I know he had Cameron Wake in Miami, but now you have Aaron Donald, you have Wes Brooks. When you have Aaron Donald, who is the Defensive Player of the Year, who could be one of the great defensive interior linemen ever, and who I think could be a Hall of Famer, knock on wood, a lock first ballot, one of the most talented guys at getting off of the football and making plays, I think it's tremendous. When you're dealing with Wade Phillips, a guy who knows how to run defensive football and who's pretty much successful everywhere, I think it's great. Ndamukong goes to a big city where the spotlight will not really be on him. I know Miami, again, the spotlight wasn't necessarily on Sue, but I think now you have a chance to compete. Now, what does this do for the LA Rams? I think it's going to help the LA Rams. I like what the Rams are doing. Now, I think at the most important position in football that Jared Goff is lacking. And I'm curious that sometimes when you put all these free agents together, when's the last time that they clicked in a succinct way that actually was very productive? I mean, usually you have the same teams every single year. You have the Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You sometimes have Denver come up in the AFC. In the NFC, you had Seattle, Green Bay. Lately, you got Dan Quinn in a magical season from Kyle Shanahan. You got that a couple of years ago. But the Eagles, nobody expected the Eagles to really be fantastic. The Saints really went under the radar and just hit the draft hard. And, really when you look at teams, they sort of pop out of nowhere. And we remember the 2008 Dream Team with Nnamdi Asomugha for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that really backfired. The Giants last year signing Brandon Marshall and having Evan Ingram, that whole offense was not very good. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and all the hype that they got in the offseason from getting Deshaun Jackson and O.J. Howard, that whole season did not work. So you look at San Francisco, and I think the Niners are a huge contender in this conference. I think the Rams can get a wild card, but now the Rams' expectations with Donald and Ndamukong Suh, Marcus Peters, LaMarcus Joyner, and Aqib Talib, the expectations in LA now, they went 12-4 last year. It's to go 12-4 again, and it's to secure a first-round bye. So the NFC West Championship and a first-round bye, those are the expectations now for the LA Rams. A wild card, 11-5, would be actually going worse than expectation. This puts a huge microscope on Jared Goff because this team now is very, very talented. I will admit, Wade Phillips, this team, there's a chance that it can click. I like the gutsiness of this decision with Sue. Actually, out of all these guys, I think Sue has the best chance of actually staying clean and not being disruptive out of even all of the guys that they've signed. I think Sue is smart. I think he's older, and I actually really don't mind the signing. And at this stage, it's all hearsay. It's all talk. So the point is, I have a lot of problems with Jared Goff. They don't have a deep threat on offense. Their linebacking core is still weak, and these guys are all coming together in a very short amount of time. And I think that in San Francisco, it's a more cohesive team with a better quarterback, and that's why my NFC Championship was San Francisco and either Minnesota or New Orleans. So the NFC is going to be amazing. If Jared Goff continues to play at a super high level and they win the division, all of this will work. But beating Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan and Richard Sherman, that's not going to be easy because Jimmy Garoppolo is my MVP candidate. Sometimes if the two teams are relatively in the same ballpark, you take an elite-level passer over a guy in Jared Goff that frankly, is a guy that can't make second level, deep level throws. I mean, you look at Jared Goff, and he's a guy that it just benefited from Cooper Kupp getting open. He played his best games when they were ahead. When they needed to play well in the playoffs, Jared Goff just didn't make the necessary big-time throws. And I just don't know if I believe in Jared Goff enough to say that he's going to beat Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners outright. I still think the Niners are the cream of the crop in that division, and really now the Rams are getting good. I still think the Rams make a wild card. I think that they're dangerous, but now the expectation level is just going to be so damn high for less need for Sean McVay. They're really going for it. And if the Rams don't win and get to 12 wins, even with this type of defense that we're going to be watching, Jared Goff, we really have to evaluate Jared Goff. And this is going to be the year that we decide if Jared Goff is going to be the quarterback that can lead the Rams to a Super Bowl championship. And I am so excited to see how the Rams do. I love the impulsiveness of what the Rams are doing. I actually enjoy that they're going for it. And I really, frankly, don't mind the moves. I just think that the Niners are a juggernaut in that division, but I still think the Rams will be good, and I still think that they'll kind of be a wild card team. It is just going to be a very interesting experiment. Can Wade Phillips and the culture take these three free agents and merge them, and can the defense play together? And you notice how on the offensive side, they're not really getting diva-type guys. I mean, you have Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, Kupp, pretty quiet guys on offense. Andrew Whitworth, John Sullivan, guys like that on the offensive side. So it's an interesting experiment. This defense is going to have a ton of personality, and I'm excited to see how it all pans out. I think Rams fans should be excited. If you're ever going to get excited about a team, this is a team now. The expectations are huge. Will they equal those expectations? My bet is no. But again, we will know more once we see the games. Thank you guys for listening to the show, for watching Rover Sports. With that, we'll see y'all soon.